All right, I think we're good. Maybe. All right, so what you're going to do is to start this character, you go and initially do your set project. Make sure it's all in that one folder. I've already made that, so I'm just going to make sure I still have boy demo model set. And then in the front view, I go to view, image plane, import image. I pick my front reference. There we go. In my side view, I go image plane, import image, and select my side reference. We started by getting these the same size in Photoshop. And then I would just click on these and rotate them until they're kind of oriented the correct way. I can then turn off the grid by hitting this button, grid, grid, and grid, to get that out of the way. And then go in Channel Box, Layer Editor, to selecting them and making them their own layer. I'm going to call this layer Reference, call it Character Images, whatever you want. This is more for you. And then click until you get R. This means you shouldn't be able to select it anymore. And that makes that a reference layer. And then I'm going to make a new layer, call it Character.
Just getting water.
So from here, we'll go ahead and make a cylinder. And this is what a lot of people missed. Is you make this cylinder, you got that. You turn the sides to subdivision 6, you got that. And then, from here, you rotate it 30 degrees until that line is in the middle. And if you didn't do that, you won't be able to cut the object in half. It doesn't mean that all hope is lost. Let me show you what you can do if you didn't do that correctly. Is if you didn't have that part, you can fix it by going to your modeling toolkit, getting your multi-subcut, and then, oopsie, actually adding that line in the middle. And then on the side view, you could add 2 segments for the arms, and then right click, go to edge, select that edge and delete. If you have multiple edges and you hit Control while you select those edges, it will get rid of the vertices too. Now I'm going to just rotate to 30 degrees. I find that's easier. But you can fix it that way if you need. So I'll go back to my channel box. Whoopsie, object. Bless you. Going to go back to 6. Rotate 30 degrees. Remember, you can always rotate. You can always type up here. Like I have 31.093 or whatever. 195. Sorry, I can read. And then from there, start adjusting it so that it meets in the front and side view. I did that mostly with just grabbing the vertices, moving them in. Remember that each time you want it to move, you need a segment. So if I want this person to be really like spry, spindly, I would put more segments in. Just remember, if you put too many in, actually let's do this. Yeah, if you put too many in, what'll happen is it'll start to move like a spider, which I think is what we talked about the other day. Or a snake. It gets a really not human quality to it. So I move these. And then I go to my top view and grab the faces. And I just shift, do, 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 do. So I know everyone needs sound effects, right? And then we go to extrude, lift it up. We want about midway through where kind of his armpits start. And then we could use this offset feature to just shrink it in a little. Now, if you are someone who will not accidentally hit a button too many times, not forget that you hit a button, and then remember later on, once you get a double extrude, you can hit G on your keyboard. If you're someone who maybe might accidentally get a double extrude, you can just keep using your extrude tool. It depends on kind of if you want to be safe or adjust later, but most of you I've shown how to fix the double extrude now, so shouldn't be the worstest thing ever. Yes, I know that's not a word, but again, 6-year-old, sorry.
I thought she was 5.
She just turned 6. Her birthday was in February. Weird thing about kids, they keep growing. Also, if you notice when I use this offset tool and you look in my top view, you can start to get this kind of like crisscross in it. If that happens, that's going to also be a normal flip. You don't want that. So at that point, using your scale tool might be best. And remember, you can always double click on it and change it to world instead of object. That'll fix some of that orientation. However, I'm going to take this moment to move some vertices. Not that way. Move some vertices. Now, if I have these really severe angles like here, even if my picture looks like I have that, it will cause your model to look a little wrinkled once you smooth it. So try to avoid these kind of like edges that look like they're jutting out. Scale this up a little. Move it around. And before I adjust all of it, I'm also going to add 2 more cuts. Because although I have kind of the shape of a side of a character, I really do want to start defining those shoulders so that the body doesn't hang off of it incorrectly. Bless you again. Nope. Drag select, my friend. All right. So from there, I would get the multi-cut tool. If I hold Control, it will do a whole line. If I hit Shift and Control, it stops on like 10% increments. So I could do 10, 20, 30. And I did that for mine, 10, 20, 30. And I don't need to worry about it being the most symmetrical thing in the universe, because I am just going to cut half of it off anyway, but at least this gives you more options if you want to try twice. 10. All right. I did the front and the back, yes. Now that will give you these parts that don't connect to anything. So you'll probably want to manually close those for your edge flow purposes. because you get, if you've ever seen those weird dents in your figures, that's what happens when you have, yeah, when you have vertices. That don't quite line up. And then this gives you kind of more of an area to shape that neck too. I will spend more time refining these. Like this will be after you get your character model done and start smoothing it. You can see where it looks like, what it looks like. And then after that, just for the neck, remember that as you get to this part where your neck starts, it does have a slight rotation to it. And then as I extrude those faces out, I'm going to get even more of a rotation. So shift, do this way, shift, 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 shift. And some of you may have noticed at this point, if you're doing this and you go to the line, you have a shortcut tool for extrude. You just click it and it'll automatically extrude out. So once you have it selected and hit the move tool, it will, in face mode, go to an automatic extrude, which is pretty nice. And then just to form the neck, you can go ahead and use the multi-cut tool again. And then I'll grab the scale tool, change it to edge mode, and if I double click on an edge, it will go in this ring selection mode and kind of shape that down to his neck a little more. And now that we have these points here, or these edges, we could select them and move them to kind of form the body out a little more. I usually tend to look in the top view and pull it out so that it doesn't look like he has like such a pointy barrel chest. There we go. Now in doing that, you will affect these top vertices, but you can always just select and move that. And actually, we may end up cutting those out in a minute anyway, or I guess in about 15 minutes. And then from there, you're just looking at which points are on the shoulder. I'm going to drag select so that I can see the front and the back. Or I can select the front and the back of these. And I see right now that I also need to go adjust these back edges, and I could also just do a shift and double click to get both of them at the same time. I know that looks a little funny. I typically do because you want to get something that looks more like the shape of a body and not quite as pointy. So from there, once you have this design, actually ended up a little bigger on this side than this side, so I'd see which one I liked better. Yeah, kind of keep that. Then what you can do is go to a face select and make the arm. Now, one of you called it wings when you extrude it out just normally, because it will kind of fan out and make this wing design sometimes, or it'll just go straight back and forth. For our purposes, you can also click on this area right here and add your translate X, translate Y, and translate Z. You have to do one at a time, but it will allow you to add all of them. And then from there, you can just extrude out. Oopsie. Get that last extrude. Not liking that. Okay. Yeah. I want it down there. Why isn't my Y actually? There you go, buddy. Thank you. And we've kind of got a couple options here. We could extrude out to make sure we have some buffers on the shoulder. Or we could just quick slice it afterwards. And I think in class last time I showed you that you could extrude it each time. So right now I just might show you how to extrude it afterwards, or to quick slice it afterwards. So you move these to get kind of the shape of the arm. And then you want to make sure that you have an edge here to keep the shoulder from deforming too badly. We want an edge here for the sleeve. And then we'll do the elbow. And this is where I pretty much confused everyone, I think. Is that on this view, we go back to face. And we're going to hit extrude. But instead of moving it, we're then going to immediately get the scale tool and scale it in. We may want to move this up a little so that that's where his arm can be from. And then we'll extrude it again. And then we can scale it again and physically move it in. And this way we can kind of create the illusion of this sleeve without having to completely redo it. Now, if you can't see anything, you can go to Shading Wireframe to see where that is. So I moved it up so that this part was parallel to the sleeve and this part was dangling because I want it to look like there's some gravity effect on that arm. And then from there, I can once again, I think I want to look in this view. Yep. I can do my translate X, translate Y again. And then do another G. And I'll probably just scale this one down now, the vertex. Now at this point I'm making it curve in a little, but I do want to move these 2 points towards each other to keep at least some roundness in that area for now. Although we are going to smush it out a little more with the hands. At the same point, I'd also go back to my multi-cut. And cut. And also make sure that I have, wherever I want the elbow to be, which I think is not in the right area right now. Yeah. If we want his elbow to be about here, we're going to cut it, and then we're going to add like a buffer on each side so that we don't have as much deformation.
What if you like your second arm better than your first arm?
Then you're going to delete the other side of the body. And that's one reason why I showed you one at a time, is so that you can try both. So you guys can model one side and then model the other, and then see what you like best. Same with the feet. You can try the legs twice and do that. And so this is where we'll kind of pause it for right now.